I just do also want to say, what am I doing here? I'm doing here because I am a human being with a conscience. And when I see murder, I cannot stand by. And I have to call the murdered, and I have to call the murderers, the murderers. Now I want to give my time to the family. Thank you very much.
My name is Tom, and thank you for joining in. I'm the host of weaponseducation.com. We're going to speak about police brutality in the United States, and even more importantly, about the negative persona that they have been getting over the past year or two. You just seen an intro of Quentin Tarantino, who, this might surprise you, happens to be related very closely to my father, and specifically Quentin's father, Tony, grew up with my father. They're cousins and they're very close. So we're going to get into detail because I kind of know the whole family story of Quentin, and I know his father's a wonderful man. Quentin's a very special movie producer, extremely talented. I know you got a 160 IQ, and Quentin, you're a very smart man, and I think you're using your celebrity status in the wrong fashion. What this country needs right now is someone to pull us all together as one, similar to the way we were during World War II when we had the Germans coming from one front and the Japs coming from a different front, and America, we were Americans, back then, and we're still Americans, but this country now has been divided with racism, and now we're got people with celebrity status basically calling all cops murderers. It's horrific. It's bad what you did, Quentin. And being that my father's been on Fox News this whole week, I'm going to show you some snippets of that. Your father, Tony, Quentin Tarantino's father, Tony, has been on Hannity and maybe O'Reilly in the future. Maybe myself, hopefully. So I'm going to put some links below. I'm asking for my subscribers, your assistance, to send an email to Hannity and O'Reilly and ask them for me to represent, like kind of be an ambassador for law enforcement across America in a positive fashion. Obviously, in every single corporation in America, the trade, every single job, there are bad people. But you can't label all law enforcement as murderers. That's hideous. We need to pull together as a country now. This should be part of the presidential campaign, so we vote for the right candidate coming up in the 2016 election for a leader of this country that's going to pull together Americans. With the racism we have in America, it shouldn't exist. With the hate towards law enforcement in America, it shouldn't exist. I'm going to get more in detail about that in other videos down the road. In this video, I'm going to focus on Quentin Tarantino, his remarks, and my father, who I'm very proud of, because obviously he's been all over the news, like I said. I'm going to show you what's going on. His interview on Fox News, which happened today on Fox and Friends, was spectacular, and they are using my father's horrific injury. I've interviewed him. The link is below, way on the bottom of my interview with my father, and he holds no remorse against the person who broke his back, and he's now paralyzed from the waist down. He holds no remorse. He's just a wonderful man, and that's what law enforcement is. What people have to realize is the families who are affected. Myself, I was a young boy when my father was horrifically injured. My uncle killed in the line of duty. That's all going to come up over on Fox News as Tony Tarantino speaks about this whole situation, and I'm going to let you know what's going on with that. I think, Quentin, you need to apologize, but you need to do it in a special way. You already said you're going to apologize. You're a special person, Quentin, and your father's a special person. We need America right now. We need America. We need the Constitution. We need all of us to pull together right now. Let's move on with the video, and I'll tell you more of what's really going on with Quentin Tarantino and his family relationship to my father and what's going on here. Let's get into it. Welcome to weaponseducation.com. Here's a still image of my father on Fox News today, Fox and Friends, and you might see him on Hannity and O'Reilly. But it's basically just shocked. Tarantino's cousin can't believe, his comments. And let's watch a little bit of the interview right now.
Well, we're
My
kind
dad
of
did just great.
1,500 to 1.
So you give you give the quality of your life up for the badge and for the city.
Absolutely.
You were out on a scooter today, you walked with a cane then. So here's your cousin, who you don't know, but he's related to you. He hops up and he starts speaking and says what we just showed America what he said one more time. What is your reaction?
It was terrible, disgraceful. I can't believe he made statements of that type. A man of his celebrity, instead of working to bring the community and the police closer together, he separated them more than ever. He caused a terrible situation and made the police job much, much more difficult than it normally is. And it is a very difficult job because you meet all types of people and your job is to be out there and keep the peace. And the only time the people really like a cop is when they need one.
Exactly.
But when they need a cop, they expect that man to go out there and put his life on the line for them. And the policemen do it every day.
Right. Now listen.
They're out there.
But Frank,
Yes.
we know that, and we know what the policemen are going and women are going through right now across the country, and the unions in Philadelphia, in New York, and the LAPD, and now Chicago are asking their friends and families to unite behind it. But some at home are saying, "What's the big deal?" Some famous director comes out with some irrational statements. Tell me, as an officer and a relative of yours, what is the big deal?
There's a man that could do good. Instead, he did harm. That's what hurts.
You embarrassed?
That he's not considering the life and families of a police officer. And these people that do these things cause more harm than good. And a police officer goes out every day not to hurt anyone, but to protect people and to make sure that law and order takes effect.
Right.
And when law and order breaks down,
Right.
nobody's safe.
This is today's paper, New York Post. Tarantino's hero, NYPD cousin, my father, speaks out. Exclusive, page 8. Let's go to this. Look at my dad. Oh, he looks great, doesn't he? Kind of looks like me, huh? That was him, 25 to 30 years of age. Young man, good-looking guy, huh? So proud of my dad. Disabled hero rips into NYPD hating director, which is, Quentin Tarantino. Quentin, I'm not going to slam you in this video because I have a lot of respect for you and your movies, but I'm going to give some suggestions that comes directly from your father, Tony, who is very close to my father, and I spoke to your father today, Quentin, for a long time. Let's get into that right now, and let's talk about how to stop all of this hatred towards law enforcement. We just watched what Quentin Tarantino said. We just watched what my father said briefly on Fox News and Friends. And like I said, I interviewed my father in the past, and the whole story about his injury is below. I'm from a family of law enforcement. If you've been following my channel, you know that I'm super pro law enforcement. I'm asking everybody, by the way, there's 2 links below. Before I tell you the whole Quentin Tarantino story, there's 2 links below. One to the O'Reilly Factor, right directly to the show, and one to Sean Hannity, right directly to the show, to get me on to be a national spokesperson for law enforcement. I want to be that person. I'm the one who I think can bring the message to the politicians. A lot of people say I should have been in politics, but you know what? I want to make sure the next president makes this a huge talking point, meaning that law enforcement, American, we all need to respect law enforcement. We all need to not have any racism. We all need to pull together and be one and wholesome. And I want the next president to be like that. I want him to just speak and say, we're all harmonious. We're all one. With that said, I'm going to tell you the Quentin Tarantino story, how it relates to me and my family. Okay, We know my father now is directly related to the Tarantino family. I'm telling you, he grew up very close with Tony, the father, very close. As a matter of fact, I spoke to Tony today for an hour and a half. And he is very pro law enforcement, very pro, very respectable. He's an Italian American. He's very unbelievable, true American. What people are going to see on the news is that Quentin and his father do not have a good relationship. Now I'm getting into something you won't see on the news. And I'm doing this purposely because Quentin, I'm talking to you directly now, Quentin, because I know you're going to see this. It's being sent to you. Your father asked me to ask you a favor, Quentin. Number one, please apologize to all law enforcement across the board. You got a movie coming out for Christmas. I know you might have been shooting from the hip when you belted out those words that cops are murderers. I'm hoping you are anyway. But we need not only a sincere apology to law enforcement, because you don't want people boycotting all your future movies and all that stuff, and we don't want to separate America any more than what it is. We want to pull people together. So, your dad, Tony, asked me to ask you, Quentin, to please contact him. He wants one thing. He's 75 years old now, the dad, Tony, and he wants one thing, and that he wants to go to dinner with his son. He wants to go to dinner with you, Quentin, and just talk. And if you're going to do an apology, I think it should be with your father sitting next to you, because you can send America two messages at once. One, hopefully, you can sincerely say that you really didn't mean what you said against every law enforcement officer being a murderer. I mean, that's hideous. That's just flat out hideous. And two, you can show morals, family morals. There's a lot of families who, like you, Quentin, grew up without a father. I know the whole story. Related. I know the whole story. It's of no fault of your father that you do not have a relationship with him. He is so hurt, Quentin, he is so hurt that the two of you cannot at least have dinner and bond a little bit. So, Quentin, my recommendation and my request, per your father, respectfully, is when you do apologize, and I hope you do it to use your celebrity status and pull America together. To say, okay, maybe there are some bad cops, well, maybe they need more training and this, that, and the other. Okay, I'll talk about that and I'll agree with that. There are bad cops. But come on, I mean, just last week, I have to say this, at Arby's, they denied a law enforcement officer because it was a female, she was wearing a uniform. No food for you. Kicked her out. You can just Google Arby's cop denied of food. And Arby's came out and apologized. It's just so horrific that Americans just despise law enforcement. So Quentin, what I'm asking you to do is not only apologize, but use your celebrity status to say, I'm doing something else besides apologizing. I am going to talk with my father on camera, maybe on Hannity or O'Reilly, and I am going to sit side by side with my father, who he does not have a relationship with, and his father dearly wants to have a relationship with him. And if the two of them can do this and talk on national TV and say, we accomplished two things. One, Quentin, apologize to law enforcement. You've got to do that, Quentin. At least do that. Two, Quentin is telling everybody in America that, you know what, not every American family is perfect, including my family, Quentin's family. And my father and I, Quentin's talking, did not have a good relationship in our life. As a matter of fact, he really didn't have no relationship. And it's a sin that he's 75 years old now and he's desperately wanting to have a relationship with you, Quentin. He dearly loves you. And that's enough said on that. I'm asking Quentin for an apology and for him to get back together with his father and to get on national TV and say, this is what we need to do for the relations with citizens and law enforcement. Okay? Something normal. I want to be the spokesperson. If you agree with what I'm saying, then please email O'Reilly on the bottom and Hannity, two people that I happen to respect, and I'd like to be on their show. And these are direct emails that will get to Mr. O'Reilly and Mr. Hannity directly, and that way Mr. Tarantino, Tony, will be on Hannity this week. You'll see him, and he'll be on O'Reilly in the future. And maybe I'll be on one of those shows also. If you email them and say, you know what, I want Tom from Weapons Education to represent law enforcement. And that's what I want to do. I lost an uncle in the line of duty, and Tony certainly grew up with my Uncle Danny. They're very close, killed in the line of duty. He was writing a ticket on the LIE, Long Island Expressway, and he got killed by what's called a Newsday paper in that area. A Newsday truck driver, drunk driver, 5 in the morning, ran him over while writing a ticket. My father, the man jumped off the Vietnam riots in Columbia University, jumped off the building and severed his spine. A horrific story. My video with my father is way below, and you can watch that interview when I interviewed him. He holds no remorse towards the people the man who jumped off the building and broke his back. He's an amazing man. Cops are amazing people. So please, email O'Reilly, email Hannity below. Tell them you want me to be on their show to represent law enforcement in a positive fashion. And please, if you can get on any social media and ask Quentin Tarantino to apologize to all law enforcement and simultaneously make up with his father, that would be huge. That would be pulling America together. That would show family values, and that would show that we respect law enforcement all at once. My name is Tom from Weapons Education. If you agree with what I'm saying, if you agree in the Constitution of the United States, if you agree in the Second Amendment to conceal a gun, protect yourself for self-defense, if you agree in the American way, and if you agree with everything I said in this video, and then please email Hannity and O'Reilly and tell them you want me to be the spokesman for law enforcement. We'll see where that goes. In the meantime, thank you for listening. I'm very proud of my father. He did an excellent job, I thought. And it's an unfortunate way for my father to get fame because of his horrific injury, being paralyzed. But maybe there's a silver lining in this. Maybe the whole reason behind this is to really, truly, what he said was so horrific, but maybe we can truly unite America and pull us together and make us all one and embrace law enforcement, embrace each other like we did during World War II, and be a strong country again. And I'm telling you, whoever the future Mr. President is, to make this part of your campaign. Mr. Trump, Mr. Carson, Mr. So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so, whoever the next president is, whoever you decide to vote for, you tell that candidate to please make sure that law enforcement and the public are one. We're wholesome. We want to be one. That's enough said. And may God bless America and all of us.